Hey, we got an on air. We got an on air. I'm gonna call that out every time it happens now.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, it's interesting. Yeah, it doesn't happen until OBS registers as streaming, but the Helix Rock Radio thing does not register as streaming on here. Okay.
Because it has to be video for OBS to register.
Yeah, I think because I am impressed that OBS knows, but because you basically open a website like what we're looking at here in OBS, and that's what's going out. So it must just know like, oh, that's opened in an instance of OBS and it's now streaming.
Huh.
Whereas, not that anybody cares, Helix Rock Radio is just then pulling the audio from OBS and streaming it out through a different encoder. Fascinating stuff nobody cares about. Welcome to Grawlix Nights, the Grawlix Podcast live show. I'm Randy.
I'm Melanie.
And I'm Jesse.
Hey, Melanie's back. She wasn't here last stream.
Or the one before, I don't think.
Yeah, I feel like there was a couple streams.
Yeah.
It's been a year. It's been a whole year since the beginning of the year.
Unfortunately.
We managed to keep it pretty well time-wise about the same-ish.
Right.
But I'm not claiming that we stayed on topic at all.
Last week or the time before.
Yeah.
We're all over the place.
Yeah, I would imagine me meandering all over.
Maybe true. I noticed we had a comment on last week's YouTube video.
Was it, who is the stream for?
Who is this for? You don't know gets about anything. Zines or politics. Stop talking about these things.
Right.
Or Wu-Tang. We might have even talked about that.
I think we did. I think we even brought up Wu-Tang somehow.
We just hit all the classics.
We just came back to the well,
This is what we do every time.
Yeah.
What we didn't. Oh, I've got to pull it up here. I wonder if I can share a screen. Can I share a screen with you?
Well, I feel like that's just apropos. That's just timely. Everyone needs to share a scream.
Because Melanie found something great, and I at least want to share it on here before I forget, since I'm randomly thinking about it. She found the greatest thing. I didn't know this was a thing that existed. Let's see. I'll pull up the IMDb page. And this is...
Oh, I know what you're going to do. Yeah, I remember.
Maddie D's the only person who's going to, understand this, but... hold on. Let me move that over here. We don't necessarily need the preview playing because I don't know what's in it. Okay. Share a window. This one.
Yeah.
Melanie found a movie called The Man Who Loved Cat Dancing.
And oddly, it's not Brandon Lee.
It's not Brandon Lee. It's not about the crow.
It's not written by J. Obar.
They seem to have similar styles. Look at that coat, man.
That is a great poster.
Something about dusters, man.
Burt Reynolds, some 1973 Burt Reynolds Western. I really need to look into it, but like I said, Maddie D at this point is probably the only person who might watch this that knows what we're talking about. But Cat Dancing it's a Grawlix classic.
Oh yeah.
Oh, we should have. I don't think any of us have watched the remake of The Crow or the new version.
Nope.
We
Waiting
almost
for it to be on a service I already own.
Right. You're not going to go out of your way to watch that thing.
Already paid for. Right.
We should though review it at some point just for the legacy, the cat dancing legacy.
I've heard it's super bloody or something.
Right. Oh, I've heard. I've watched some videos about it. It sounds not great, but yeah.
The fact that it just came and went is never a good sign.
No.
Nobody was really talking about it, and if they were, they weren't singing its praises particularly loudly.
They got tired of all the Skarsgårds.
I was watching one of my Moody Detective shows that had Stellan Skarsgård, and that got us talking about how many Skarsgårds are there, and he's the patriarch of the family.
Well, if it's a noir movie, then it's how many Skarsgårds does it take to unscrew a light bulb?
You're right.
You've got too many light bulbs. You don't have a noir.
You're right. It can't be too bright.
No.
There's like
Was it Bill Skarsgård again who is Nosferatu? Did we talk
yeah.
about Nosferatu?
Have you seen
Did
it?
you see? Yeah, I've seen it.
We haven't seen it, and it was so like it's high. It was so high on my priority. It's just we have not gone to the movies.
It was
Lately.
good. I mean, it's basically, it's basically Dracula. So
I want to see it. I want to see it really bad. The director's great. I'm really interested to see it. But
it's well done. It's well done. Again, it's like one of those things where it's like, did we need it? I don't know. It's pretty good,
Right.
but I don't know if we need it any more than we needed the original. And I love the original, like I love the fact that it's it's Dracula, but he's actually kind of a monster. Like it really plays up the monster part of it.
Right.
My niece and nephew saw it, but it was lost on them because they didn't even know that there was another movie. Like, they didn't know that it was based off of another movie. And I was like, dude, are you serious? It was like the first horror movie. And I'm like, Bella, aren't you like going to be a media major or something? You should know this kind of stuff. And then she was like, oh, really? She's like, oh, I got to look into it. And then later she was like, oh, I should have watched that before I watched this. I probably would have appreciated it much more. And I'm like, yeah, you're right.
Or even just like videos about it. Really,
yeah.
I mean, at this point, you don't even have. It's like reading the Wikipedia entry. At least do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel like, especially your niece and nephew, when it comes to like certain movies, that's how they experience some classics. Is they've read about it or they've watched the Dead Meat.
I was gonna say no. They watch the Dead Meat. That's how they watch old horror movies.
And that kind of sucks.
Yeah, it does.
Now, the original Nosferatu, it's not that long. It does feel long. It's a slow movie, but it's also over 100 years old at this point. So
yeah,
it's in the public domain. It's been in the public domain for a while. Yeah.
Mm. It's not Dracula though.
It's not Dracula.
No.
Which I think is that now in the public domain as well?
Is it?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. At least it has been for like, it has been for Britain, because there's just like people making Draculas left and right, like literal Draculas, not even vampires, just Draculas.
Well, in that case,
here's a Mark Gatiss Dracula. Here's some
you're right.
Was the Stephen Moffat Dracula with Mark Gatiss,
which was not bad. That was actually not bad miniseries. I thought that was an interesting take. Yeah. Well, Nosferatu is so old that it was not in the public domain, and it's kind of a miracle that we know what the movie Nosferatu is, because it was ordered that all copies should be destroyed after a lawsuit. So,
yeah,
right.
No, we need to watch that. We do. But back to Skarsgård, there's like 8 of them, and like 6 or so are actors or models. They're all in the industry. It's like a Martin Sheen and his kids. Like, it's one of those.
Yeah. The Culkins, there's like 3 or 4 of them that act.
It's a brood. It's a brood in the industry.
Mm-hmm. They do that a lot. Broods form in Hollywood or something.
Or you could call it a nest, a vampire nest, if you will.
Ah.
A murder.
A murder of crows.
A murder of never mind.
Of Bill Skarsgård crows.
The Skarsgård. Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, you made the pun and didn't even know what you were doing, but I did. I knew
the
what you were
opportunity
doing.
to really step into that one hard.
There was one crow left of the murder.
What were we talking about?
Cat dancing. You showed the cat dancing picture.
Right. We're still in the opening of the show, huh?
Yeah.
But first, how are you two doing?
I'm all right, I guess.
Dandy.
Yeah, this is just what the show is now, guys. So you know.
Yeah, we are. We are this. This are we.
We're
hanging in there by a thread, just like the rest of everything everywhere all at once.
Yep. It's a good movie.
Yeah, you're right. It is a good movie. I need to watch more movies this year, because I think I've only like watched one movie this year, but I did watch 3 seasons of the original Wallander series, and each episode is an hour and a half long, like TV movie. So does that count as like 30 something movies?
It should.
Should it? I didn't letterbox any of them because I was like, it's a TV show though. It's a TV show.
So
I
watching a
probably
lot of
should have.
TV. I should watch more movies, but movies feel long and TV doesn't feel long. But then I watch at least 3 hours worth of TV.
Yeah, me too.
did you do the Langoliers? Because that was a made-for-TV movie that came out in parts. Mm-hmm.
Well, we watched that for the show.
Right.
The fan made one, anyways.
Yeah. No, yeah, I just meant for Letterbox.
Oh, right. Did you?
I did
What grade did you give that? Ooh.
I did log the Langoliers version that we watched. I don't remember what the like full title is. They gave it was on Letterboxd, and I logged that. But if I watched the miniseries, I don't know if I'd log that or not.
Really?
On occasion, because it's tough to say. Like a TV movie, sure. Well, then I say that, and I'm like, but I didn't. I don't know. Nobody cares.
Those were like events, though. Those were like made for TV movies.
Yeah, that's true. They're just long and broken to parts. You're right.
Yeah.
I will only log, a TV series if I binge it in a weekend, and then when Melanie comes home, I'm like, hey, I watched this new show you have to watch with me, and I watch it again with Melanie. Then I'll log the series on Letterboxd, even though it's not a movie.
Right.
Did that a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
Melanie loves it when she comes home after the week, because she goes to her parents and her family's on the weekends. She loves it when she comes home. And I'm like, so I watched a new show, and then I try to slyly start something without telling her what it is on the TV.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And then I'm like, is this Iceland or Finland? What is it this time?
Well, the most recent time it was Germany.
Greenland.
Before that, it was Iceland.
Yeah.
Trapped was a good show, though.
It was pretty good.
It was Icelandic. Great.
Oh, you mean Red, White, and Blue Land?
Yeah.
There's no way they would.
They can't.
There's no way they would go along with that.
No, it would start a war.
Yeah. I feel like it would.
It would. But you know what is interesting? We watched that Iceland show, and then what did we watch after that? Was it one of the Wallanders? The captain from Iceland show was in, I think it was Wallander.
It might have been.
Was he a Skarsgård?
I don't think so.
So I bet it's
it's like the Baldwins, It's like I don't think. It was a Baldwin.
Mm-hmm. I
How
can't
many
tell.
Baldwins are there?
Yeah, which guy was it? I've been watching too many of those.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, was it The Bridge or was it The Killing?
I don't recall.
And that's been Moody Detective moment. There you go.
Yep.
Yeah. We can't commit to Moody Detective segment. I'm the only one that'd be interested in that.
You're right.
So what did Randy watch this week? That's what that Moody Detective segment would be.
Exactly right. Well, if you must know, Pagan Peak, or as it's known in its original language, Der Pass, because it's probably just the pass, and then they're like, we need to call it something cooler in foreign markets. Pagan
That's
Peak.
not the pass. That's not sexy.
Right.
Pagan Peak is sexy.
It's good. It's really good. It's on Megahertz. It's on Megahertz Choice, that streaming service that everybody knows about.
Yeah,
check it out. I paused, since we're on the streaming talk again already. I put our Netflix on pause. I should just cancel it because it's Netflix, and at this point they can suck eggs. But I put it on pause, and it sucks because I put it on pause, and then I realized they just dropped a new Nordic noir show that people are
Of course
talking
they
about,
did.
and it's supposed to be
Yeah.
really good, called like the R Murders or something. And I'm like, darn you, Netflix! How
Right.
could you? God, I would binge that at a weekend easily. I should have waited. Whatever, I'll watch it sometime.
Do we have Amazon right now? Because Invincible is
Yeah,
out again.
that just dropped.
We
Yeah.
might actually. I keep forgetting to cancel it. We might actually have Amazon right now. So
Okay, cool.
yeah, we need to watch that.
Yep.
Speaking of Amazon and things that are on it,
Oh
we've
my
had it for-
goodness, this is
we've-
like an actual segue, huh?
right.
All
We've had it for a
right.
couple months now because around December when I was like, I need quick free shipping. And in that time, we watched the season 2 of a little show that Jesse might have thoughts on now.
Well, to cap that off.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh yeah. I just finished season 2, and I remembered liking season 1, but man, it was so long in between the 2 seasons that it really was tough to be like, what was happening? Because anytime you're jumping between universes and you've got to
so
keep
okay,
it straight,
real quick.
and I'm like,
The Devil's
yeah.
Hour. We never at no point said the show.
We never said, but we just buried the lead on that.
But you know
Wow.
what? That's the experience of what it's like to jump into season 2 after
Mhm.
multiple years having watched the first.
Even with their recap, you're just like,
Yeah.
what? And
You know,
all of the first season really kind of just takes place in one universe, sort of,
Yeah.
for the most part.
I forget entire movies that we watched, but I actually remembered everything about it. So I was like, oh, remember this was happening and that was happening. That's her kid. And she's like, what? Yeah.
I remembered like nothing. And yeah, I made a point, like, there's got to be a YouTube, like a good recap of the first season. So I found a YouTube video and we watched the recap, and then we started season 2 and it's got its own recap. And I was like, oh well,
yeah.
There's different details here. And there's
Recap
still
of
things.
the PCAP.
Right. Yeah, the Devil's Hour. We talked about season 1 ages ago, and it was great. I think Melanie and I might have talked about season 2 a little bit, but Jesse finally watched it. And yeah, if you don't know what that show is, you should check it out, because it's kind of almost the perfect intersection between Moody Detective Show and Doctor Who. So of course it's right up my alley, but not quite Doctor Who. Like, the tone's not Doctor Who.
Just make the Doctor even make it even more like dangerous. Make that that character who understands time travel and yeah, I don't. Well, it's not even time travel, but time loops, I guess.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like time travel, but you die every time.
Right. It's like Groundhog Day if it was a whole life.
Yeah.
It's kind of a dark take on Buddhist reincarnation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got like a really wild sci-fi kind of concept to it. The idea of living living your whole life over to get to this one point to do this decision thing over and over and over.
Now the thing for me is all that memorization. Gosh, what a pain in the butt. You know?
And, right.
This season 2, that was one of the areas it kind of got into that I liked towards the end of season 2, if I remember right. The idea of like he's got little tricks and trinkets and things that he has to remind him, and the idea of like, it's possible to lose those thoughts, to forget everything, and then it just resets and you're kind of back at square one.
Right.
Yeah.
But pulling more people into it, examining the idea of like, when he changes something or things change, the people that like it changes most for, it potentially like jolts them out of it so that they become aware of the loops as well. And that's the season really, really dove into that a bit. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah. And they were all messed up, poor people.
Right. Right.
Well, and then we got to see, I don't remember, did we see any of the bomber in season 1?
I don't think so.
Because now we see him from behind and he's like sort of in and out of time.
Mm-hmm.
I have a theory about him, but I don't know if it's So potentially going into spoilers, because we do actually see her son grown up at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Is it him? Does he just
But
get
that's why I
like?
keep wondering. But I'm like, is it a different version of him too? Because now, I don't know.
Because he's a paradox. Because he shouldn't exist, and he apparently there was only existed in that one timeline. But he can also, like, as a kid, he inadvertently flips between. It doesn't seem like he ever flips forward. It seems like he'd flip back between timelines.
Mm-hmm.
But he made a comment that sometimes it's before, sometimes it's
Oh,
after.
okay. So sometimes he does flip
So
forward.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and so
So
that's where it's like, oh, maybe he can flip and into different time. So yeah, it could be him. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that we see him and he seems pretty, like, I don't know, collected. He seems actually more charismatic and whatnot than he does as a kid.
yeah.
But like, that's the thing with autism, is like, once you've got tools and whatnot, as you grow up, you would, you'd be able to use those tools.
Right.
We did also get to see him pull someone into another timeline, and
That was
obviously,
crazy.
and that seemed very unpleasant and not sustainable.
Yeah.
Like, you can't stay in that timeline; you'll get like rejected out of it back to your timeline.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. Did you guys watch the second Spider-Verse?
No, I haven't yet.
Oh, you guys got to see that.
Okay.
But there's a thing there where it's basically like, if you don't exist in those other universes, you start to glitch out when you're in them, unless you have
Right.
something that can anchor you. And so, like, there's a device that basically stabilizes you within a
Okay.
dimension that you're not supposed to be in, because otherwise, yeah, you want to be in your home dimension. That's where you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's so interesting to me, and people got so like, well, alternate dimensions, another multiverse thing. Like, people got so like cynical about that, and I get it, because there was like several big budget movies, specifically superhero movies, one after another, that really nailed on that. But like, it's such a potentially interesting concept that, like, yeah, the base level is like, oh, multiple versions of this character, but without really diving into it any deeper. And I feel like this isn't exactly multiverse stuff, but it's a similar
Right.
type thing. And it's
Do
just
you-
like, it's such a potentially interesting area to explore. Yeah.
Do you remember that one show we watched not too long ago where they found like a body in an alley,
Yeah.
and it had like a number on it or something? Remember, like tattooed on his arm, but in whatever. Yeah, you know.
Basically, I can't remember what it was called off the top of my head, but yeah, it was a series, I think on Netflix, where there was a body found in an alley. So it's almost like a Moody Detective show, but it was the same body found at 3 different timeline, like periods of time.
Was it
Like,
three body problem, or is
No,
that
no.
something else?
no,
That's different.
I mean, that would have been an apt title for it, because yeah,
Right.
it's essentially the same body, but like in the, I don't know, teens or 20s or 30s maybe, and then modern day, and then in the future. And so it's like following 3 different detectives from these time periods, jumping between them, trying to solve the murder of this, like, or the mystery of this dude who showed up. And of course, we watching know, like, that's the same body, that's the same dude in all these timelines. What's going on? And yeah, that was an interesting show.
Yeah, well, most of the cops figure it out too, except like the original ones. But that show reminds me the most of the Devil's. Is that Devil's Hour? Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the show with the weird timer in the sky?
No, that's Three Body Problem. But
that's Three Body Problem.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a good show too. It's more depressing, I think. They're both kind of depressing, but that one's more depressing. That one has to do with aliens. Spoilers, sorry.
That is kind of big spoilers. Bodies. Bodies is the name of the show.
Okay.
We're talking about.
That's a little on the nose.
It is on the nose. But yeah, where detectives from 1890, 1941, and 2023, they're bearing the lead a little bit, but that kind of makes sense. I guess I dropped some spoilers. All discover the same corpse in the same location. There's a fourth detective in the future. Spoilers. But yeah, that was good. Whatever.
So if all this is happening, is it scary? Because would that make it body horror?
I'm trying to think if it gets into body horror. Yeah, I'm gonna say yes. Yes.
Yeah, there's definitely body horror.
Because I feel like you don't want to be sent to 3 different times somehow at the same time.
Right.
I feel like it's not good for you, even if you're dead already.
Yeah. That sounds awful.
Yeah.
Imagine all the ashes you'd have to spread. Plus you'd have to be a time traveler to get them all. It'd be weird.
Back to Devil's Hour.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay. Well, I mean, if it's a time place where there's a time vortex, just like throw them into the vortex. In fact, that'd be pretty cool. Yeah. I would request that if it existed.
And then Anubis. No, what's his name? Sutek. Sutek will just be chasing your ashes forever.
I just have a small request. I want you to spread my ashes across all of space and time. That's all.
Yeah.
Easy.
Or, and hear me out, put my ashes in the water supply so that they can all become a Cyberman. Living or dead.
Right. What a terrible send off for what's his name? The character
Brig.
The Brig. What a terrible that's still like, oh, they're giving him a moment with the salute, but it's like that's his reanimated corpse. Now he's gonna fly off into space. What's he doing? What is going on?
Yeah, where's that Big Finish story no one asked for?
Cyber Brig. Oh, that sounds good. Make it happen, Big Finish. I'd listen to a Cyber Brig story.
5 rounds rapid. You will be upgraded.
Wow. So Devil's Hour is confirmed, definitely getting another season. That was confirmed, I think, after season 1. They're like, yep, 2 more seasons, which is good.
They would have to, because the way they end this season is like the worst possible cliffhanger.
Yeah. Right. And I'm glad, because shows on, unless you're like The Boys or Invincible or Severance or whatever, shows on Amazon Prime or Apple or whatever, or Peacock or whatever random things that, at least in my circles being just the internet, don't get talked a lot about. So I worry if I get into one of those shows.
Right.
And Netflix, you have to worry even if it is talked a lot about. But yeah, so I'm glad that one's confirmed I'm assuming they have a definitive end for it.
Speaking of, apparently the next season of The Boys is the last. When was that announced? I don't remember hearing that. I don't know. Somebody posted a picture. It was Jensen Ackles and his was it Jared Padalecki or whatever, is confirmed for the next season or something, but they also put the final season.
Right. I think I did hear that.
Wait a minute. What was that?
Yeah. Well,
feels like there's a lot of room to keep going, but maybe it's,
I don't know. They did Monster Sheep. I mean,
that's way to go from there.
Yeah.
You're right.
You can only explode someone from their penis so many ways, and then it's just
then it's just another day at the zoo.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Listen, if you can't have sex cake, then what can you have?
You don't want to eat sex cake.
No one wants to eat it. No.
So I don't know where. Well, I think I could be wrong, but I feel like, is there going to be another season of Gen V? I know there was going to be.
Mhm.
But
That's what they were talking about. They were saying that like there was going to be that season and then this next season of The Boys, but maybe they're just canceling the show because of, like the bent that it's on, and they were like, oh, we get maybe one more season before
Fascists take over and
yeah,
that would be so
say this is
repugnant.
too on the nose.
yeah.
That would be so repugnant. I mean, come on. It's not like the guy who owns the company producing the show ultimately or airing the show was sitting front row at the inauguration.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking at Okay, yeah, Gen V season 2 still it doesn't have a specific time frame, but it's still set to arrive this year sometime.
Mhm.
It is a bummer because one of the lead actors died since, and he was definitely like had become one of the kind of lead actors. I mean, it was very ensemble at the beginning of the first season, but there are definitely certain people that it was positioning to like I figured transition into The Boys, and we did see a couple of characters from it, but they were so minor.
Mhm.
Right.
So that sucks. They'll have to, I don't know, right around that, I guess.
Mhm.
But The Boys also, I was gonna say, Walking Dead is a good example of that. That this doesn't always work. Although I think it did work for Walking Dead. How many spin-off shows have there been? I don't even know.
Boy, there's at
I'm not
least I don't know. I mean,
At
because
least 2.
There was Fear at least, and then there was the show with Norman Reedus's character.
Right.
Mm.
He went back to being Norman Reedus in my brain, but that's weird. Daryl.
That's right.
Daryl had his own show, and I think there was another show with like Maggie and her crew.
I think Rick, maybe not a full series, but Rick has or is getting some type of his own spin-off. I don't know if it's a
Right.
mini series or a movie or what, but they're still doing something with Rick. But The Boys they could potentially spin off forever
Oh,
if they
oh, for
wanted to,
sure, yeah.
so long as it was popular, of course. But
I mean, it's going to be tough to follow, Carl Urban and
right,
yeah,
well,
and
yeah,
Homelander.
and of course it was different. Gen V was going for a different vibe, but Gen V definitely wasn't as good. Like that's not a replacement. At least the first season, it was an interesting supplement with some new characters and kind of broaden out the world, but still retained the obscene wackiness. But
Right.
yeah,
But like they would add in new characters and they would take off, like every series, or season or whatever you want to call it, had new characters, and sometimes they were just for that season. But they were always like compelling. So like I don't know. I feel like you could keep going, but I also don't know anything about I don't know enough about the comics to know,
right.
like, did it keep going? Like, was there an obvious end point, or did they just stop, or maybe they're still making them? I don't even know.
I feel like where it's at now for most of the characters like the best characters, the ones that are great,
Mhm.
or the terrible ones that are still very compelling, obviously. I feel like there's a finite amount of story that you could milk out of them unless you're just like got
Right.
really good writers. And it has good writers, but uh yeah, I could see like this last season, I feel like they didn't know what to do with Frenchie.
Right.
They kind of
Oh yeah.
there's characters that I felt like they didn't really know what to do with, so the wheels were just kind of spinning. They were off on their own little thing for a bit, but it
Well,
wasn't
even A
compelling.
Train, like A
Yeah,
Train, they're kind of giving him a redemption arc, but they're kind of not. But now he's stuck. Like, well, no, now we've got to do the thing. But am
right.
I a good guy? I don't know that he's a good guy yet, but he's closer than a bad guy.
What is this next season gonna be? And it's gonna play
I
so
don't know.
poorly from what they set up. I'm sure right
Oh
now.
man,
Uh,
oh man.
the temperature, the
Yeah.
political temperature is either really right, really
I'm
perfect, or really wrong for it.
I'm curious what's going to happen with all this because, like, are you seeing much that's changed beyond the cosmetic, like in terms of Hollywood? Because I feel like, like Kendrick Lamar is still doing his thing on the Super Bowl. I don't know. I feel like I just watched, I mean, kind of spinning off into what we've been talking about here or talking around.
Yeah.
Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man um, does a lot of what I would consider DEI, and I think it doesn't hurt the story at all. In fact, it makes it kind of compelling because if you've seen Spider-Man go toe to toe against Norman Osborn again, I would hope they're be doing something different with it. Like otherwise I don't want to watch it again. But this is it's a fun show so far because they're kind of playing with things that they have been doing in the comics, but while Peter's still a kid kind of thing. Because there was a time where Norman Osborn has been turned into the Goblin and cured, and then turned into the Goblin and cured. I mean, like so many times in the span of 75 years now of Spider-Man? No, it can't be 75 years because that would be would that be? No, that's after their death, right? I'm trying to think, when does Spider-Man become public domain?
Oh, who knows?
Batman's over 75 years, but like Marvel's getting there. You know what?
Right.
They've got to have had their 50th.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Because a lot of that's
D&D
at least
just had
the
their 50th. Yeah.
1962.
1962. There we go.
He says he turns 60 this year. That's not right. This is old because it's 2025. But yeah, over 60.
But I mean, like, so the whole point of that is Kamala Khan, Ms. Marvel, she worked for Norman Osborn to keep an eye on him, and so did Peter. And so there's this whole stint where Norman Osborn is actually a legitimately okay dude, and is trying to help Peter Parker be Spider-Man,
right,
and do the right things, kind of thing. And so they kind of, I don't know where they're going with it right now, but that's kind of the bent they're going with Norman Osborn in this. But he's also a person of color.
Yeah,
and so I'm sure that's flipping people out. But it's like, no, man, Norman's hair actually makes sense now.
You're right. You're right. Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, you're right. That's all I'll say about it. Wow. We were talking before stream about like even Disney. What's the word? Kowtow. What's that expression?
Kowtow, yeah.
Kowtowing, backpedaling on the warnings again before they're more racist productions from the past,
right?
Things like that. We're talking about that. I feel like it could go. I feel like it's going to stabilize a little bit in that respect. Either it just won't change much, or it'll just stabilize and people will like. There'll be some other ridiculous culture war thing to get upset about, or not. Who knows? I don't know. Racism and
the Daily Show is still doing the Daily Show. I'm pretty sure most of late night talk show are still doing the thing. The only thing I would say is I think I've seen it like a taming of the SNL stuff,
right?
Which I don't like. It's not fun.
Kind of a puritanical tinge going on with some things too. I do anticipate seeing that, but like in terms of the being more inclusive, like the audience for that didn't leave, like they didn't go anywhere,
right?
And by audience for that I mean general audiences that aren't d-bags.
Yeah.
I don't think most people really care that much. Those audiences didn't go anywhere. I'm really surprised companies that got so like really bent the knee so quick under this current regime. Let's talk about it in terms that make more sense. But I feel like maybe attitude will kind of stabilize. It's possible there could be a huge pushback and they'll just double down. I don't think that's going to come out of Disney and other places, but I could see that other things. I was glad about this Super Bowl halftime show. I quite liked it. I thought it was very good.
Me too.
And Samuel L. Jackson, man, he had me right at the beginning.
So good.
Yeah,
so
Uncle
good.
Sam. I was like, I'm in 100%.
Yeah.
And I mean, the year that they had to change the message at the end zone that's traditionally been end racism or whatever, it was perfect. It was a perfect halftime show. So maybe we'll get more like that.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's going to be a lot more angry music released. I'm seeing that reflected on social media already.
Sure.
And so I don't know. I guess art is different than entertainment product, but
sure.
I don't know where it's going to go. I really don't.
Yeah.
Like, is there going to be an anti-Me Too? Like, because that I was reading a thing about that.
There kind of is. That's
well,
kind of
no, I know, but like I was reading about what's her name? Cameron Diaz.
Yeah.
She had retired. She just wasn't doing movies for like 15 years. And Netflix coaxed her out of retirement to do a couple movies. They didn't look like anything interesting I want to watch, but whatever. Good for her. She probably made bank. But I was reading like a section of an interview with her the other day where she was talking about how sets, like movie sets, are completely different now than when she left. And she's like, Netflix has a dedicated HR hotline that everybody has access to and anybody can call if there's a problem. And she said, there's never been like anything like that with any studio I've worked with, where if there's a problem, you just like try to avoid the guy. And of course, that's what she's talking about, the guy or whatever. And she's like, there's always been, on every production I've ever been, there's always somebody. There's somebody you avoid. You just don't want to get stuck around. Like there's always some clown, to put it lightly. And she said, since the Me Too movement, it's legitimately different. And I've heard similar things like that. So the behind the scenes stuff, obviously stuff we're not privy to as consumers of it. And I feel like if there's been that much of a shift behind the camera, I don't see that shifting back. And that's what I meant with a anti-Me Too. It's like, hashtag you again. Or
no.
That was in bad taste. Okay. I had to step in it somewhere, right? But so like behind the scenes, I feel like
Weinstein gets to run a thing again.
He's back in charge. Has he been pardoned yet?
Huh? Oh, I don't know, not yet, but
it's
I
coming.
could see that. That's ridiculous. Ugh.
But I feel like behind the scenes isn't going to change much. I don't know. There's still going to be a market for that, and capitalism chases the money, and that's why we have a lot of the problems when it comes to government. But like, if there's still money in being inclusive and producing that kind of content, then it's still going to be made. Who knows? Not some middle-aged white people from the Midwest. We don't know.
We don't know gets about DEI.
Yeah.
Oh, I did see The Perfect Thing. Maybe never mind. Nope. Never mind. Not gonna get into it.
Okay.
So what else you guys been watching?
Interview with a Vampire.
The show?
Yeah. The show?
Yeah.
We're on board.
I finished off season 2. Yeah. It's
great.
It was good. It was good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to season 3. And
I really liked it.
Nothing, no DEI there at all.
Well, see, that goes exactly to what you were saying about Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. And I know we talked about it, but Louis being black. No, not Louis. Wait.
Yeah, Louis.
Mostly, yeah.
added such an
I made it
interesting.
so much better. It made it
It did.
better.
It's
Yeah.
such an interesting angle. There was so much, like, it added such an interesting dynamic for them to pull from and work from
Yeah.
with the stories. Really
Give
good.
them an actual reason to be sad.
Right.
You know, like they didn't have easy lives. No. Meanwhile, I think like the white Louis was like kind of rich, and I think that was part of the deal why Lestat sought him out.
So, see, what did you think? Because they did that. I like how they handled the recasting, but they had to recast
Oh yeah, Claudia. That's right.
Claudia.
Yeah, it was all right.
Mhm.
You know, it was a little jarring at the beginning of the season, but like
Mhm.
she was so good that
Right.
Mhm.
it didn't take me long at all to
Right.
be like, you know what, I'm in. I'm on board. This is good.
I like both of them. I feel like the second one, she looked more age appropriate to what the first one looked a little older than what she was supposed to be. Which
Mhm.
I was kind of like, that's fine. They're not going to cast a child
Sure.
in this role where there's a lot of things you can't have children around. But the second one, she looked more age appropriate, but I do think she was pretty good. She had an accent that slipped out a few times throughout the season. I'm like, I think she's British. That sounded British, and I looked it up and was like, yeah, she's British. So she would slip out of the appropriate accent once in a while, but she was good otherwise.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Oh
can't wait
man,
for season
the
3.
whole theater of the vampire stuff that she
Right.
did, like, and that never happened in the books, I don't think. So, like, they rewrote this stuff so cleverly, so well. Like, that would be perfect to have a vampire that never ages play a little girl, and that would be the thing that she would hate the most.
Yeah.
We watched an episode of Mayfair. Was it Mayfair Witches?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I know there has been or will be crossover characters at least between the series.
Right.
I
Well, the
don't know.
Talamasca is already crossed over
Oh,
into.
okay.
I mean, that's who was feeding him notes in season 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It just didn't grab. It didn't grab us. We didn't continue with it.
The
Mayfair
first
was.
season.
Yeah.
We didn't even get through the whole first season. We watched
No.
like an episode or two, I think.
It is a slower burn. It did get better as time went on,
Mhm.
and like it got more action and whatnot, and that really helps it. But yeah, the first whole part of it is just like, oh, there's these people, and one of them died, and now another one of them died, and there's a sexy ghost, and
Right.
so on and so on.
It just didn't have like Interview had compelling characters right off the bat.
Mhm.
And I think that's kind of what it came down to, and an interesting setting and stuff.
It's because Lestat is the best, man.
I do like Lestat in this too.
He's so good, yeah.
So do you just finish it recently, season 2?
It's been a minute. I just have a list of
Right.
things that I've seen that we haven't talked about yet.
Right.
I was like, oh, this segues very nicely back into what we were trying to get away from. Because I'm a chaos agent.
Right.
Yeah.
Season 3 is supposed to be this year sometime.
Good.
Have you seen like the clips and whatnot that they've released as teasers?
I seen the like
the interview with
him as a rock
Lestat,
star.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like the author or the interviewer is like his agent or something, or has something like yeah. Interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying this like Anne Rice resurgence, and the fact that they're not. I don't, like I love me a faithful rendition of an adaptation, but you gotta stray, because the original was written how long ago? I mean, like it's not the same audience. So
Yeah.
this is more interesting to me than if you would just recreate the book. I
Right.
can go read the book. I want something that's going to surprise me. I want something that's going to entertain me.
Mhm.
Right.
And this is doing it. It's doing it.
Mhm. I wonder if they're going to bring in some of the other weird ones.
Like vampires.
Huh?
What do you mean?
What? No, I was thinking like like Servant of the Bones and weird stuff like that.
Oh, that could be fun. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, they're all they all tie together or whatever,
Right.
but that one was just more strange. But it would be fun, I think.
Yeah. I wonder how far. I mean, like they're obviously starting the tying things together stuff, and I didn't get very far into that. So I'm curious, like, yeah, will they have the vampire? What was his name, Vittorio or whatever? I never even really got through it because that dude was like the Nosferatu of Anne Rice's little vampire universe, where he's like, I don't have anything to do with them, and I like it that way.
Yeah.
What else, guys?
Have
we run out of things to talk about? Oh, we did watch it. There's a trailer for. I don't think Melanie watched it, but there was a trailer for. There's a big game trailer for Thunderbolts. Is that?
That's right, the Thunderbolts trailer. I mean, like, we haven't had a show since the Fantastic Four trailer dropped either.
Oh, right.
Oh, and there's a Smurfs trailer too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Nick Smurferman or Smurf Nicker. I don't know. Smurf Offerman. There we go. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Or Offer Smurf.
Yeah,
Offer Smurf. I like that. There it is. You put it on the back end there. I don't know how I feel about Rihanna as Smurfette, but I'll reserve judgment. You know, she just seems a little too sassy, but maybe it's high time that we had a sassy Smurfette.
That makes sense. Not passive. You don't. It's a bad look to have the one female Smurf be very passive.
Well, I mean, they had Smurfs: The Lost Village, and she wasn't like totally passive. I mean, that was I don't know. It's interesting. Like, all these movies always seem to be centered on Smurfette, and I suppose they should be, because she's the only female Smurf.
Right.
Like, who else are you gonna have lead the charge? The rest of the Smurfs, their whole thing is they're exactly the same.
Right.
Except for one little identifier. You know?
Yeah, that one guy's got a flower. Come on. How can you not?
That's right. Oh yeah, was that Vanity Smurf? I don't even know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That would be the worst movie if we just follow a Vanity Smurf and he's just telling us about how great he is and trying to woo Smurfette because he's the most beautiful Smurf.
It randomly made me think of that episode of Buffy where I can't remember his name, but the like little nerdy guy that hung around him for a while later in the season, and he like made a Buffy documentary or whatever.
Of the vampire.
Yeah, I think so.
Was it Andrew? I want to say
Andrew. Yeah, I don't know why. I feel like it would.
We haven't even talked about that. They're talking about a reboot or a revival or something. Like, there's so many entertainment things happening now.
Yeah,
which is promising and also worrisome, because it's so many things that Netflix can just cancel.
I mean, we knew it was coming, but Sandman is definitely going to be the last Sandman we're going to get. And I don't know if they're shortening it up or whatever. That sucks, because talk about a series they could have milked spinoffs for forever.
Right.
Just like, I don't know. Don't talk about Neil Gaiman and do it anyway.
Right.
You're like, dude, just go away. Go live in a cottage and we'll make these things. Although then we're going to get crap because, listen, he's what made it good. It just sucks that he is apparently also a scumbag.
Well, why so many of them, man?
It's interesting because, like, this Buffy the Vampire Slayer thing would have to happen without Joss Whedon.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And Buffy, like, that's his voice, man. Like, that's the defining feature of Buffy is that Joss Whedon voice. You hear it in all of his stuff.
But I mean, he helped launch so many good writers out of that too, that it could still work. It just, it's curious.
Real quick, Thunderbolts trailer. I mean, it looked fine. It looked okay. It looked very bland, just in general. Like, the look of it, it was whatever. But David Harbour
David Harbour was the straight up
Acting.
winner of that whole
He's
thing.
acting.
Sucker!
David Harbour with a Russian accent. You can't lose.
Oh man,
that's fun.
Mhm.
He's just David Harbour wherever he goes, and I'm here for it.
Was he
Go
a
ahead.
cartoon character in something we watched recently?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Creature Commandos. He's Frankenstein.
Yeah, that's right.
Frankenstein's monster. Yeah.
Oh, we were gonna try to get Mel's take on that. How did you feel about the ending of Creature Commandos?
Wait a minute, the ending. I'm trying to remember how it ended.
The one lady that you thought was evil, or that you're like that lady's evil. Of course, she was evil.
Yeah. Well, I've been saying since the very first met her, I'm like that she's the bad guy. So I was hoping. I'm glad they didn't stretch it out and make it like another season where they have to figure it out, because that's lame. So yay, I was glad about it.
We also got the last episode. We got Fish Girl. I don't know her name. Fish Girl's
Nina.
Is that right? Nina's backstory.
Yeah. And then they killed her off.
Yeah.
Maybe because they also killed off Robot Guy, and then he comes back as Iron Giant. So
right.
That's exactly what a Nazi would say.
We got Dr. Phosphorus's backstory, some stuff about him.
Oh yeah, that one was good. That one was so good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's fun.
Yeah, but it's Alan Tudyk.
Yeah, I know.
It had a good cast. It had a really good cast.
Mm-hmm.
But James Gunn runs with a fun crew. He's one of those people. He's one of those guys that brings the same people back over and over. He has a group.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, the friendly this is just an aside. The Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
It has a similar vibe in that it incorporates music in an interesting way.
Oh, nice.
So not as good as James Gunn, but it did. There were several times where I've already, and I'm only like 3 episodes in, where I'm already like, oh, this. They're definitely borrowing a page out of James Gunn's book here, because they're incorporating like really decent urban music into the vibe of the show.
Cute.
Wait.
What?
There's a season 5 of Harley Quinn. Girl.
I heard it here first, folks, or maybe not first, but you heard it here.
It's different. It's a different tone. It's a little like goofier and a little like more basic, I guess, in its humor. But Harley Quinn, I feel like, and I don't think it necessarily had anything to do with James Gunn, although James Gunn as a character pops up in there in like the last season we watched, but has a vibe that fits well with the things that James Gunn's done for DC so far. Mm-hmm. And so that just got me thinking about Harley Quinn. I was like, I bet that show's done. But it seems like we don't have Max right now. It seems like they've there's a season 5 currently going on. Yeah, January 16th to March 20th.
Well, see, that's because they just got in there before women and lesbians got canceled.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. That show's heavy on that. That's like one of those shows.
They didn't get canceled. They just didn't get renewed.
Right. Hashtag not you. It's not funny. Me too. Hashtag me too is not funny stuff. I made a mistake of playing like, sometimes Melanie gets in a blue mood and I'm like, we need to watch comedy. Like
Bill Burr.
Oh no.
And I put out Bill Burr. And very soon I was like, this was
he is not the comic to lift his spirits at all.
It's so interesting, Bill Burr, because like on the one hand, like, yeah, he says great stuff. And he also is not afraid to, like, he doesn't mince words. But on the other hand, he's also still one of those comedians who was like, "Oh, cancel culture, you're gonna get canceled," and it's like that's kind of obnoxious.
Well, I think it's kind of a comedian thing anyway, because it is, jokes are hard to make when people get really offended by lots of things on both sides. You know what I mean? So I understand that, but yeah.
But some things are legitimately awful.
As great as Bill Burr is, and he is great, he's had some not great takes.
Yeah.
But it's fine. It's fine. I mean, I don't know if I'd say
Isn't he the one that went after religion?
Like, that's probably.
Probably.
Oh yeah, he's a nuanced individual. Chappelle's not one he's not one that's missing out on a paycheck these days either.
Right.
Weird. Anyway, what were we talking about? Go watch Harley Quinn and The Devil's Hour, but also don't give your money to Warner Brothers or Amazon.
Mm-hmm. Let's all become pirates.
Bill Mayer, that's who I was thinking of. That guy is a tool.
Oh
yeah. No, Bill Burr's half the time okay, half the time he's great. But he's got some issues with women, I think, that I don't like very much.
Yeah. He goes pretty hard on that, on the feminism and stuff, which is not always great. But he's also like, he embraces certain aspects of his generation.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also going on podcasts and stuff saying we need to hang billionaires. So, he's got some good ideas.
A little eat the rich, okay.
He's one of those too. So it's like interesting dude.
He's also going on podcasts and they're being like, the lead singer of Smashing Pumpkins is your brother.
And getting mad about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then calling Howie Mandel a Hollywood prostitute, we'll say.
Yeah.
Weird drama.
They do look a lot like each other, though. Billy, is his name? Billy
Morgan?
Yeah.
And Howie Mandel is a Hollywood prostitute, so.
Yeah.
Anybody watching?
Is anybody here?
If they are, it's amazing.
It would be amazing.
Yeah, you know what else is amazing?
What?
Belts. Specifically, though, the belts that circle the Earth. So, NASA's Colorado Inner Radiation Belt Experiment satellite discovered that the solar storm, the big one from May of last year, 24, left us something behind. So along with the Van Allen belts, there are now 2 temporary belts between them. And most of the time, we've had them before, but temporary belts. But most of the time, those are just electrons. But this time, there's electrons and high energy protons, which is like they're sticking around longer than they normally do. And normally they would only
positive to me.
Yeah, I mean it could be, or it could also mess up spaceships or anything trying to go outside of the atmosphere could get messed up by it.
They don't need to go out there.
Yeah, they don't. There's already
stay in here.
Yeah. But
with us, you don't get to escape. Sorry, I'm sorry. Keep.
No, you would fall out. You would vault it.
That was pretty much it. The only thing it could last anywhere from months to years. And then the other thing was the satellite that got the information because it was positioned in such a way that it was supposed to be like right there watching that in the path, and that's the problem. Unfortunately, the blast of radiation that it recorded and whatever knocked it out of orbit, and it came down in October. But still, it was the only satellite that actually had the data showing that those existed, and that's good because then we can prevent astronauts from getting extra radiation or possibly dying. So.
Oh right, yeah. You gotta avoid those when you're shooting up through there.
Yep.
Or the navigators for Bezos's next Star Cruise could do the funniest thing ever. Bill Burr, you got me right.
Oh, next time on America's Funniest Billionaires.
Yeah.
America's Funniest Billionaires. It's an empty room because they're not funny.
Right. Oh my god. Ooh. It's just Musk jumping around on stage in a shirt that's too small for him.
Super high on ketamine and sharing 2014 edgelord memes.
Mhm.
Right.
He's like 42069, right, guys?
Yeah.
That was my impression, and I regret doing it.
It was all right.
We got to shake this off the show. We can't have this permeating the show. It's already everywhere all the time. It's like
That's true.
It's like we were launched into a radioactive belt and we can't get out of the orbit.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a filth that we can't wash off.
Oh.
Thank you, Melanie. That was amazing.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we had some science information from Melanie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've been busy, so
Yeah. And we've been taking it easy these last couple of months. You got to.
Yeah.
I
got a dog.
Jesse got a dog.
That's the reason we didn't do last week, really, was that it was too soon. It was too soon. The dog was not going to play ball. Or literally that's all he wanted to do was to play ball.
Yeah.
I don't recall if I asked, and if I didn't, I apologize. What is your dog's name? And is it a man or a woman? His
name is Apollo. He's 1 year old. He's like a pit bull type dog.
You better be a boxer if you named him Apollo. Come on.
Well, he looks like a boxer. Yeah, he looks like a boxer. That's one of the things, is like, without knowing exactly what he is, but like, they don't put pit bull on the thing. I noticed you don't just walk in and any of them say pit bull. None of them say pit bull.
Right.
Unless they're like a bulldog. Like if they're an English bulldog, it might say that. But
right.
Yeah.
Pit bulls have they have a bad reputation, but I had one when I was a kid. They can be great dogs.
And it's a great dog. It's just like, he's 1 year old, so he's basically a teenager. He's a puppy in a giant body.
Mm-hmm.
You're not my real dad. I'm gonna chew on this.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Oh, you don't want me to chew on this shoe? It's the only thing I want to do now.
Right.
Yeah.
Try and stop me, Dad.
New in box. That's the best flavor.
Yeah. Oh, you set aside this thing because it's important to you? I think I might just tear it slowly.
I had a half pit bull, and she was wonderful. She was super protective of the babies and kids that I babysat. She was all about it and loved them. They could do anything to her and she wouldn't care, but she would growl at anybody that like came up at him. But she once stole the freaking turkey on Thanksgiving off the table and ate it when we we set it on the table and went to like go get the sides and came back in and it's gone. Ugh.
That's straight out of a Christmas story. That's
Isn't it? Yeah.
That's a sitcom right there. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you got a dog, Jesse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Nice. Interesting. Very pit bull looking, but not exactly. It's not like
right. He's got kind of a he's got kind of a boxer look to him. So
right.
That was part of it.
It's like the head shape, but not quite the muzzle, the whatever mouth shape.
Mm-hmm.
The body's a little bit different.
So I took this picturesque image, right? And then immediately after that, he jumped the fence to our garden, and because that's where our compost heap is.
Oh, sure. That's
so
what he's looking at right there. He's like,
It's not even though. It was just like, I don't know what he's looking at, but then he just like beelines it straight north from there, so like to his right, and just
Okay.
hops the fence. And the fence, the scary part about this is that the fence is just about as high as the actual fence for our backyard. So it's like, oh no, he could just leap this fence if he needed to. Like if there was a
Right.
rabbit on the other side of the fence.
Mhm. Oh
Ugh.
yeah.
So yeah.
Same like I was talking about before. Went to the vet and I'm like, what can I do to get her to stop jumping over? Because she wouldn't even climb it. She'd just jump over the fence because it was a regular size fence and to chase squirrels and rabbits and whatever. And he's like, yeah, get her fat. And he's like, that'll stop her. I'm like, okay.
That way, yeah, I can see that. Oh, he's super svelte right now. Like he's maybe a little skinny because he's,
Yeah.
Humane Society
Yeah.
kenneled and
Right.
whatnot,
Yeah.
and super active. So if you're not feeding him all the time, he's not gonna get fat.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Anything else, guys? Anything else we want to mention before we bounce out of here for the night?
Nope.
I got a show coming up in about a month. That's about it. So we'll probably have another show before, or another Grawlix Nights before that. But it's coming up about a month away. Constellations, one of the cons I go to every year. So I'm getting ready for that. I don't know if I ever announced it because I've got it in my notes, but I did have a actual acceptance letter for one of my poems.
Oh,
I was trying to remember. We might have talked about that last week, but I don't know if you had the acceptance for sure or not.
Oh, I know that I definitely had
last stream.
Yeah. I
is
know
it
I
something
had
else?
put one in. No, I know I had put one in, but I don't
Okay.
know if I ever got the acceptance or not. So
Yeah,
I hadn't
sorry.
crossed it off yet. So
Talk about it. Where's this gonna be?
well, it's a Blue Collar Review it's a poetry publication that comes out like quarterly. So they, 4 times a year. And I've been accepted from them a couple of times in the past, but I hadn't really submitted anything in like almost 16 years or something. So I was like, man, it was like, I really, I think I want to get a poem published somewhere before it's 20 years. And so I just was like, I'm sending this one. This is the best poem I've got. And I was like, maybe I shouldn't have sent the best one I got. If it got rejected, I don't know how I'd feel about that.
Right.
Like maybe I should have sent them some of my more mid stuff so that they could go ahead and reject that. Yeah, you're right. That was mid.
You don't need to swing for the fences. You might miss, and then what do you got?
Yeah, then I won't be able to look at myself in the mirror in the morning.
They accepted it though. That's good.
Yeah. So I don't know when it'll come out, but it feels good to get an acceptance letter. So,
well, you have to update us when it comes out.
Yeah.
I did think of something real quick that I want to mention.
Me too. Go ahead.
Okay, it's a little inside baseball. I'm going to say we are no longer a humble partner because I was curious. I was like, we got any money built up in our humble affiliate thing? And I went to the website and I couldn't find it. It's not there anymore. I was like, I mean, the website's there. Humble Bundle's still around. But I couldn't find whatever. And I did some research. I couldn't find like our partner information that I usually go to. Apparently, they stopped doing it like 4 months ago. They offloaded it to a third party. So there's some other like company that handles it. And they notified people once. If you're subscribed to their newsletter, I'm assuming I would have been, but I never seen any email about it. And that's it. That's all they did.
Oh.
And so our affiliate link still works, but it still works, but I don't think we're not getting any kickback from it because I have no way to access that information. That's
awful.
I was like, oh, neat. You think you would have?
I bought a few, so I know.
Did it still have the like little affiliate thing? Like,
where you could do the slider and everything. Yeah. So I
Well,
mean, like, I
if
think
it's
somebody somewhere owes you some money.
it's
Yeah. Well, somebody's making our money. But from now on, just give it all to charity.
Might as well.
right.
That was the whole point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've gotten I pulled money out since 4 months ago, but maybe they still hadn't, like, the infrastructure was still up. Obviously the infrastructure's still somewhere, but yeah, I don't have access to it anymore. And yeah, like, they don't even have like a proper blog, because they have a blog with things that they'd update or whatever information. They don't even have a proper blog about it, and really weird. But also, they've been doing weird things like shutting down like parts. They had a game studio and stuff that they'd actually like produce games and stuff. They either shut that down entirely or shut big chunks of it. I don't know. They're in a weird place, I think. But yeah, I was really disappointed in that. I was like, first off, how you not like send a dedicated email to, like, I get it. I still got the email like, hey, update your tax information with us, or give us your social security card, whatever information they want. But they're not gonna, I don't think they're gonna pay out for it anymore. So
It's poopy.
pretty weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you live in the Nebraska area, and you like science, Neil deGrasse Tyson is going to be in Lincoln Tuesday, April 22nd.
Yeah.
But tickets start at like $103, which is ridiculous.
Whew.
So I'm not going to be able to see him. But maybe if you are well off and you want to go see him, then go ahead.
That reminds me. You said, wait, what month?
April. I mean, it's a ways away, but I just found out about it.
Well, February 21st in Omaha, you can go see Bernie Sanders.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
Huh. Yeah. He's hitting some of the red states where they went blue in 2020 for the president, but red for the whatever. He's hitting those places to kind of drum up something.
See, that him becoming president would have changed the landscape, I think, a whole lot. But
incredibly.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's some really good alternate fiction flashpoint fodder here. You know, it's like, what if we got like actual John McCain, not the John McCain that ran against Obama, but like actual John McCain versus Obama, and that guy won. What would America look like there? Because, you know, like Trump becoming like he or at least people will say that Trump is the result of Obama. Like,
right.
Like almost like they want to blame Obama. It's like, thanks, Obama.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
Like, oh, thanks, Obama. Now we got a Trump. But it's like, man, there's some good fodder there for an alternate universe fiction of like, what would life be if we had that president, you know, or what would life be like if we had this president? Like, there's some interesting flashpoints. Like, yeah, what would America look like under a Bernie Sanders? Would he have just gotten like stopped 100 times by whoever was in charge? Would it be will we be where we are? Will we be further down the road in terms of healthcare? You would think, because that's kind of his major thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And if he did get elected, that would be kind of like a mandate.
Yeah. You can't. You need somebody with like decent moral standing to then go in and steamroll like Trump does. Just steamroll.
Right.
Because I was always taught president's just a figurehead, and it's true to a point, but if the whole rest of the government, if checks and balances aren't working, that's not true at all. As we've seen. Things get done. But then you get like a Biden in there, and it's like, oh, who knows what happened? Oh, we're getting super political now. What are we doing?
Yeah. We straight up start talking about politicians. We open the Bernie door.
God, we're not going to keep doing this every episode. We'll be more subtle.
I won't.
Yeah, anyway. Yeah, that Humble Bundle thing really, like, I forgot. I kept meaning to mention it to you. It rubbed me the wrong way. I was like, dude, come on.
Yeah.
We've been hawking your wares for like 8 years or something. Come on. You
Right.
could one email if you're subscribed to the newsletter. No, send a dedicated letter to your affiliate partners.
And maybe everybody that buys your Humble Bundles,
Right.
like, just let everyone know. Just be transparent.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm sorry. I know you just said we weren't going to make it political, but real quick, the Musk's kid.
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. Whew.
Shut! I want you to shut up. Go away.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
a wonderful experience.
Oh my goodness. Kids. They
Yeah.
said the quiet part out loud.
Yep.
Right. All right, guys.
You know what? I think I want you guys to shush up and go away. Let's do it.
Hey, tomorrow. Hey, Helix Rock Radio. Before we totally sign out, tomorrow and everybody else, tomorrow, Friday, tomorrow's Valentine's Day. Tomorrow, most likely, I don't think Melanie and I have really nailed down our plans. It's possible I will be streaming live on Helix Rock Radio, Edge of the Abyss, playing some metal. I was going to put together like a death metal playlist, but songs about necrophilia aren't that romantic, and that's what I was finding for death metal love songs. So, so it's probably going to be a regular show.
Yeah.
Unless I decide to skip it and put a replay up. Just depends what's going on tomorrow.
Maybe the theme just needs to be hearts. Like,
hearts.
How many human hearts can be eaten?
Yeah, I'm sure there's tons of songs about that.
Eating a heart. I just wrote a song. Eating a heart. I just need someone to be behind me with a wicked axe.
With a band.
Yes, and a band.
With an axe. With some
like an axe and an axe.
Both. Did you, Melanie, you said you had something else you wanted to say?
That was the Neil deGrasse Tyson thing.
Right. I think I just don't want to end the show. Okay, I do though. We need to get out of here. Thanks everybody. YouTube signing out. Bye YouTube.
Goodbye YouTube.
Goodbye.
You will not be able to reconnect. That's fine.
Tube.
You